Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Epsilon 2021. This is Triveni, Smart Village Head at IEEE SIESGST.
I am Krishnaveni, MDO at IEEE SIESGST. We are honored to be your host for this session. IEEE SIESGST's Epsilon 2021 is a brand new initiative with the prime focus of imparting technical knowledge revolving around a theme, computing and knowledge engineering.
After the successful completion of day one, we are back with another intriguing session under the CS track, which will be a hands-on workshop on the platform Firebase. Firebase is a useful cloud computing service model that helps developers connect their applications with API and backend cloud storage extracted by the backend applications.
Isn't that fascinating?
Absolutely. Most amazingly, Firebase has been built on the infrastructure of Google. So come, let's get to know more about what Firebase actually is. Without any further delay, let us welcome our esteemed speaker for the day.
We have with us Mr. Vrijraj Singh, who is a front-end developer by profession and community champion by passion. He is an organizer of GDG Jalandhar and Google Developer Expert for Firebase and Web Technologies. He has given 100 plus talks and workshops for communities over the past 5 years. His areas of expertise are around web, Firebase, Google Cloud Platform, and UI/UX design. He is always eager to learn new technologies and develop solutions based on them. We are very grateful and beyond words to have him provide the knowledge and proficiency that he holds under the domain of cloud computing through this session. Hello, sir.
Welcome.
Yeah, hi everyone. So
Hi,
first of all,
welcome.
thank you so much, for having me. And so can we have a slide?
Yeah,
Yes.
welcome, Mr. Vrijraj. We are really overwhelmed to have you with us today, and we
Yeah,
are looking forward for this very informative session. Also, just a little information for the participants present. We have an amazing task planned for you, which will be revealed at the end of this session. This task will earn you badge at the end of the event, and if you land yourself up in in the best performers, you also stand a chance to win goodies. So stay tuned.
So, without
So
any further ado, we would like Mr. Vrijraj Singh to take over and guide the participants present here through the hands-on workshop based on the cloud platform Firebase.
sure. Okay. Hello everyone. I'm Vrijraj, and here I'm going to talk about Firebase and how we can build amazing application, or we can say full stack application, with the help of Firebase. So, let me talk about myself. As you know already, I'm Vrijraj and I'm Google Developer Expert for web technology and Firebase. Also, I'm running a YouTube channel named Tech Format. I'm working on the various web developers technologies like PWA, Firebase, AMP, Google Chrome platform, and the Google Cloud platform. You can reach out to me on Twitter, like Vrijraj Singh. And so let's start it. So, in this workshop, I'm gonna talk about three things. Like, first thing is what is a basic web fundamental for building a web solution, and the second part will talk about the Firebase and how we can build a web application with the help of Firebase, and the third one will create a simple application which we can also consider as a Sarha type of application, means anonymous feedback, like we have where we have a URL and user can add any anonymous feedback, and that's it. So let's start it with the basic web fundamental. As you know, web has a endless possibilities, and we have a three core fundamentals. So first core fundamental is website. So what is a website? Website is a collections of web page. Each web page maybe consist of audio file, text file, video file, or maybe your HTML, CSS, or JavaScript code, and each website have their specific entry page, which is also called as home page. You can build your website with the help of HTML, CSS, and the JavaScript part, where you can provide your structure of your web page with the help of HTML, And if you want to design your web page, you can go with the css part. And if you want to add some interesting or interactive functionality, you can go for the javascript. So there in the market, or if I talk about in the web, there are a lot of websites you can visit, like google.com, twitter.com. There are millions of websites. So next, like as you know, like we can create a website with the help of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now we need to run our web page. So we need a browser. So browser is just like as a software where we can run our web page. And in the market, we have a lot of browsers you can use for running your web page. So maybe you can go for the Google Chrome, Mozilla, Safari, or Opera, and there are a lot of things that you can use. And each browser have their specific rendering engine. So if I talk about Google, so Google having a Blink as a rendering engine, which is responsible for your running HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code. And the second, like if I talk about Mozilla, we have SpiderMonkey. For Safari, we have a WebKit. And like similarly, Opera is same using the Chrome V8 engine. Now, we have created a web page, we can see our web page through the browser. Now, web page should be accessible to n number of devices or maybe different locations. So we need a server. So what is a server? Server is just like as a computer where we can upload our index file or JavaScript code, CSS code, or HTML code, or maybe media file, audio file, text file, any other resources file. And through that computer you can access those files, and that system can be considered as a server. So basically server is used to serve the data to the browser. And like in the market, like you have to mostly working on the three servers. Like first one is web server. So whenever you are accessing a web page over the network, for example, if you are open google.com, or if you are accessing a website like twitter.com, LinkedIn, so you are like we are accessing a web page through the network, so we have a web server. And we have a specific protocol if you are using web server. So we are using https protocol, hypertext transfer protocol. And the second server, we are mostly working on the email part. So we have an email server. So whenever you are sending or receiving a mail over the network, so there is an email server. And here you have to work on basically two protocol, like SMTP, simple mail transfer protocol. And the second, you can go for the POP, post office protocol. And the third, like whenever you are downloading or uploading a file over the network, so there will be a file server. So we have a protocol like file FTP, transfer protocol. So if I'll give you the example, like for example, I open a Google Drive. So there is a link drive.google.com. So first I'm accessing a web page. So there will be a web server. And then if like in the Google Drive, in the web UI, I will upload my file, or maybe PDF, audio file, or JPEG file, anything. So there will be a file server. If I open like mail.google.com, first I'm accessing a web page, so there will be a web server. If I'll go to the compose section and write some email and then click on the send button, then there will be a email server. And if I talk about specifically the web server part, like you have to mostly work on like nginx server. Like if you are familiar with node.js, so you have to mainly work on the nginx server. Or if you're working on php, you have to work on apache. And then we have a Microsoft IaaS, you can go for it. So, like this is a basic terminologies for the web developers. Like I have ideas, I can create applications. Now I can earn money through my skills. So, yeah. So everyone has ideas. So like I have ideas for the startup, and I wanted to build something. So let's suppose, let's take an example. You have an idea. Uh, any idea is maybe related to startup, or maybe it's related to product or anything. And then you are a little bit confused about the technical stack, like how to start, what type of technology you have to use for your idea. It may be mobile solution, or it may be web solution, what type of database you have to use. And the biggest challenges is for you to, like, I don't know how to start, and that's it. So somehow you have decided the stack and the working process as a developer. Then you are starting working on the coding part, and then you have to write a lot of amount of code, bahut sara code. code and code and code. So like there might be a possibilities, like there might be some issues related to code implementation, maybe security, or managing the database, or managing the infrastructure, or making your solution that will be accessible to all the user. So there is a unified solution that you can use to improve the user experience, and you can solve all of these problems with the help of Firebase. So that's why Firebase came into the picture. What is a Firebase? So, like I'll tell you later. So, we have a solution. So, what is a Firebase? So, Firebase is a development platform that provide a developer with a lot of tools and services to help them to build or develop high quality and scalable applications. You can, with the help of Firebase, you can grow your user base, and you can earn more profit in terms of user. So one of the best thing about Firebase, like Firebase is providing a lot of services. You just need to implement those services in your solution. Maybe if you are working on web platform, mobile platform, game development platform, it's totally up to you. And you don't need to manage the infrastructure. As I told you, you don't need to manage the server, how what are the cost, and managing the database, or writing your business logic. Firebase is providing a lot of things that you can use and don't need to like take like like invest your time to writing a business logic. So there is a mission. That's why Firebase has a mission to help the developers succeed. Like they are providing a lot of services. You just need to use that services, and that's it in your application. So one of the best thing about Firebase, like if you're working on a mobile platform, like if you're working on iOS, Android, or if you're working on Flutter, you can use Firebase. And as a web developer, yes, you can use Firebase. And the like the fourth part, like C++, if you're working on with this language, you can also use Firebase. And last, if you're working on game development platform, you can use Firebase. So as I told you, like Firebase is providing a lot of services, and Firebase is divided into the three main categories of tools with specific goals. So first one is build better application, and second one is improve your app quality, and the third one is grow and engage your user base. So what is like if I talk about building better applications, so we have a service like authentications. So suppose you are building a web applications or mobile applications. So there is a like functionality you need to add, like login with your email ID, or login with your mobile number, or you can add a functionality login with your Gmail account, login with your Twitter. So you can do that with the help of Firebase authentication. Or if we have another service like hosting, you can host your application with the help of Firebase. And we have a cloud functions where you can write your custom business logic. And so there are a lot of services like you can use machine learning database, real-time database. You can upload your file you can use with the help of cloud storage, and then we have an extension. So this is build better application. With the help of these services, you can build a high scalable, high performant application with the help of these services. So if your application is ready, you have developed this application with the help of these services. Now you can go to the second category where you can improve your user app quality, or you can improve your user base. So you will get the analytics report like real time. There might be issues, so you can improve. You will get the performance about your application. And there is a test lab if you're working on mobile application development. So there are labs, test lab, you can go for it. And then we have a apps distribution. So once you have developed this application with the help of Firebase, and then you have to go for the app building, improve your app quality, and then third we have a grow and engage your user. So you can earn more benefit in terms of user. You will get the analytics about the user, from which country are they accessing your web applications, or maybe your solution. You will get the predictions. You can send a push notifications. You can get you can create a dynamic links for your marketing purpose. You can do that. So if I talk about specifically for the web platform, like we have a limited services, but you can create full stack applications with the help of Firebase. So we have a services like you can use Firebase authentication. So like we can create a web page and having features like login with your email ID or login with your mobile number, or you can add a third party authentication service like login with your Google account, Twitter, Microsoft, any other account. You can do that with the help of Firebase authentication. And then you need a database, so maybe like you can store your like file or JSON file. You can do that with the help of cloud Firestore and the real-time database. And fourth one is we have cloud storage, where you can upload your image file and yeah, do that. And we have a Firebase hosting, where you can host your web applications, and with the help of cloud functions you can write your custom business logic. Firebase extension, it's a pre-package or pre-built cloud functions that you can use. And you can also use Firebase cloud messaging for sending a push notifications to the user. And then we have a dynamic links, where you can create dynamic links, like maybe for example, if I give you the URL, so like this, for accessing that URL you need to you have to use Android application, so you can do that with the help of Firebase dynamic links. So I'll deep dive into the each services. So first one is Firebase authentication. So what is a Firebase authentication? So a Firebase authentication is a service where you can authenticate your user uh, on on the web platform. So this is a very easy. So they are providing a set of functionality or a methods you just need to use, and it is very easy to implement. And they are providing a flexible and drop down UI you can use, and this is very fast. And Firebase authentication work with n number of different third-party providers. For example, you can authenticate your user with the help of like third-party authentication service provider. Like you can authenticate your user with the help of Facebook, Google, Twitter, GitHub, and email and password or phone number authentications. You can do that. So this is an example for the authentications. So we have a method in Firebase, create user with email and password. This is a predefined method. You don't need to write a business logic or checking the database. Like if you have a working on like PHP. So we have a functionality like first you need to collect the email ID and the password, and then you need to write a logic to get the data from the database, and then you will check, and then if password is matched, and then you will say, so all problem is solved. You just need to use this function. The function's name is create user with email and password, and that's it. Here you have to pass the two parameters. First parameter is email ID and the second parameter is password, and that's it. With the help of single command you will be able to create sign up your user with the fact platform. So second, we have a database. Like you can use database as a Firebase. Like you can store a data into the Firebase. So Cloud Firestore is one of the best example. It's a NoSQL database which has a no schema. Like we have a collections, inside collection we can have a multiple documents, and it's totally serverless architecture. You just need to focus on the writing your query part, and then Firestore will take care all of the things. And one of the best thing about Firebase, like it support offline. For example, if you do not have internet connections, you can still access your data with the help of Cloud Firestore. So I'll give you the example. As I told you, this is NoSQL database. So NoSQL database means we have a collection. So we have a image. So first we have a collections. Inside collections, we can have a multiple documents like page one, page two, and page three. And each page means the document can have a multiple data, or we can consider as a field. So similarly, so if I'll go to the code snippets part, so we have a DB, let DB is equal to Firebase, means I'm creating a database reference. And then for adding a data into Cloud Firestore, we have a method, add method. So like first we have defined our collections. My collections name is users, and inside user, I'm creating a documents. So we have a document. I'm adding a document with the help of add method, and it will you need to pass a JavaScript object. So that's why we have added curly braces. And then we have a key value pair. This is a key value pair, and that's it. So next we have a real-time database. So like first we have like Cloud Firestore, which is a NoSQL database. Similarly, we have a real-time database. So it's a lighter weight version as compared to the like Cloud Firestore. You can also use it, and they are providing still a lot of advantage like real-time syncing, offline support, and the scalability. It's totally up to you. Like if you're building a large-scale application, you can go for the Cloud Firestore, and if you're building a light-scale applications where you just need a simple database, you can go for the real-time database. And this is example for the real-time database. So we have a method set method. So you can invoke or call the set method, and here you can add the data into the real-time database. So next one, we have a cloud storage. So although the real-time database and the cloud Firestore are great for storing the primitive data, like primitive data means we have a variables, text file, text, string, array, object. So you can do that. Sometimes you need to store a user generated data, maybe image file, audio file, or text file in your solutions. So you can use Cloud Firestore. You can upload your image file, audio file, media file, or it's totally up to you. Like you can upload, like for example, you can upload media file. You can do that with the help of cloud storage, and it's still offer a lot of features like you can it's secure because your data will be stored into the global infrastructure, and it will scale your applications, and it will provide a robust security for downloading or uploading of files. So this is an example how we can upload our file into the cloud storage. So we have similarly we have to create a database reference, and then if I want to upload my file, maybe audio file, image file, or text file, I just need to use put as a method, and that's it. Inside put method, we need to pass a file. Maybe you can pass image file, audio file, or any other file. So next we have a Firebase hosting. So as I told you, like we have a web applications. So we have created a website. So now I want to deploy my website. So you can use Firebase hosting for deploying your website, and this is very fast. And your website will be uploaded into the SSDs. Means your website will be very fast, and you will get the free SSL certificate, and you can deploy your website just three commands you just need to follow, and that's it. So next we have a cloud functions like as you know, like Firebase is providing a lot of services. So sometimes you need to write your custom business logic, means writing your custom REST APIs, or you can write your custom business logic to accessing these of the services. So you can go for the cloud functions where you can write your custom business logic with the help of JavaScript, TypeScript, and again this is low maintenance. You just need to focus on the code part, and no need to manage the infrastructure. Firebase will take care all of the things, and that's it. So second we have like Firebase extension. So Firebase extension is just like the pre-built cloud functions that you can use in your applications. Like you have created a like functionality in your web page, like user need to upload a image. So during uploading an image, so you can use this extension to resize the image. So like whenever user will trying to upload the image, this extension will be called, and it will resize your image or resize the size. You can maybe 1 MB to 500 KB, and then user can upload the file. You can translate the text, you can send a mail, you can trigger any other mail services with the help of Firebase extension. So next we have cloud messaging. So like in Android applications or iOS, so we have a notifications, a push notifications functionality. So similarly, in through the web platform, you can also send a push notifications to the users. Like we have some set of users or offer for the our services, so you can trigger a push notifications with the help of Firebase cloud messaging. And there are providing a simple set of methods. You just need to invoke that method for sending a push notification, and this is very easy. Don't need to write a code for that. So in summary, like for the web, like you can use Firebase authentication for authenticating the user. You can use Firebase as a database. So we have a cloud Firestore. real-time database, and then we have cloud storage where you can store your image file, audio file, or any other file. If you want to host your website, then you can go for the Firebase hosting. If you want to write your custom business logic, then you can go for the cloud functions. And Firebase extension is just pre-built cloud functions that you can use in your application directly, and you can send a push notification with the help of Firebase cloud messaging. So I know little bit it's a new like thing for you, but this is a kind of feeling like इतना सब कुछ अब तो मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता हूँ because they are providing a lot of these type of services, and I can build entire full stack application with the help of these services for the web. So tell me how we can start our application. So I'll give you the example. Like let's suppose we want to create a event registration page. So as you know, like we all are from billings, like if you are from colleges, so there are a lot of clubs, and then you can create an event registration page with the help of Firebase. What we can do, so here we can, first step, we can create a HTML page and having a field like email ID, name, gender, or any other fields you can add in the registration page. And then you can add a functionality like Firebase authentications, like only authenticated user can fill the form. So like first you open a website and there is a like login field. First you need to authenticate with your Google account, and then you will be able to access your registration page. And then after user authentications, user can see your registration page and user will submit the data, and you can store your data into the cloud Firestore. And once a user your data uploaded into the cloud Firestore, you can trigger a cloud functions, means you can have write our custom business logic to sending a confirmation mail, means thank you so much for the registration, and we will reach out to you in few days, and that's it. And the last you can uh, you can host your entire website with the help of Firebase hosting, and that's it, you can do that. So this is a kind of feeling like yes, I can do that. This is very easy, you just need to use the basic web fundamental, and then you can go for uh, these services like Firebase authentication, cloud storage, and cloud file store, and the functions. So for me, Firebase is just like as a amazing platform for the developers. They can build a high scalable application or a very fast way for developing applications. They are providing the services. So like you can do that also. Like I'll suggest you to पहले इस्तेमाल करे फिर विश्वास करे. This is a like if you deep dive into the Firebase, you will get a lot of feeling like yes, this is a wonderful platform for the developers. You just need to focus on the front end part, and the remaining writing your business logic for this will be replaced by the Firebase, and these you can use these services. So, do you know more about Firebase or how you can start your like the Firebase and all? You can visit the link firebase.google.com, and here you will get the documentation about Firebase, how we can start a Firebase and all. So now it's time for the workshop. I hope like you have a basic idea about the Firebase, like what is the Firebase and what are the services you can use in the web platform for Firebase. So what I'll do, I will create in this workshop. I will create a share your thought applications, which is basically anonymous feedback links, like in year 2013 or 14. I don't know which year. So we have a like fundamental or a link like Sharaha type of application where you need to log in with your functionality, and then you will share the URL to your friend that you can share your anonymous feedback. So similarly, we will create a same application with the help of Firebase, where we will use these three services. First services is Firebase hosting, means we will create a web page and we will deploy that web page into the Firebase hosting part. And for anonymous feedback, we need to store the data, so we will use Cloud Firestore. And like there will be a super admin. So like I have shared an anonymous feedback URL so I can see the feedback. So I am the authorized person who can see the response. So for the admin, we can add a functionality like as an admin, you just need to authenticate with your Google account, then you will be able to see the responses. Okay, so I'll give you the example how we can do that. First, I'll show you step by step. So first we'll use Firebase hosting. So for Firebase hosting, what you need, so first you need to install Firebase CLI. So how you can install Firebase CLI? So first you need to go to the browser and then click on the google.com, and then you just need to search Node.js. And after Node.js, you just need to visit the link Node.js, and then you need to download Node.js LTS version in your system. And then after Node.js install, you need to follow this command. First, you need to install Firebase CLI. So you just need to type npm install -g Firebase -tools in your command line tools, or maybe you can use PowerShell or terminal or any other things you can if you're working on. Okay, so after installing Firebase CLI, then you need to follow the command. First, you need to authenticate this Firebase CLI with your Google account. So then you need to type Firebase login. So after Firebase login, you are authorized that you can access your Google account, or you can access your Firebase project with the help of your this CLI. And then first you need to initialize your Firebase project. So maybe you can go for it Firebase init as a command. And after initializing the project, if you want to check your website in local machine, then you can go for it Firebase serve. And for deploying your website, you just need to follow the command Firebase deploy, and that's it. Okay, so I'll show you one by one. And similarly, we have a functionality you can use like Cloud Firestore methods. So as I told you, we are using Cloud Firestore. So like in Cloud Firestore, we have a set of functions you just need to use. Like for adding a data, so we have to use add method. For you can also add a data in specific documents. So we have a doc.set method. And if you want to read a data from Cloud Firestore, you can go for get method. And if you want to read the data in real time, so you can use on snapshot method. And if you want to update the data, then you can go for the update method. And if you want to delete the data, then you need to go for the delete method, and that's it. So we have a CRUD type of operations you can create, means add the data. So you just need to invoke add method. If you want to read the data, so then you need to use get as a method. If you want to update the data, so then we have to use update as a method. And if you want to use like if you want to delete the document, then you can go for the delete method. Okay, so similarly, in Firebase authentication, so we will use Google sign-in method. So you can authenticate your user with the Google account, and we have two methods. So first method is sign in with pop-up. Like when you click on a button, there will be a pop-up window. Inside pop-up window, there will be a Google UI that you need to authenticate with the Google account. Or you can use get redirect result, means when you click on a button, you on the same page you will be redirect to the Google account, and then you will be able to access, or you can authenticate the user. And the third, we will work on the on state change method. So basically this will function will tell you what are the state for the user, whether the user is logged in or not. You can check the state. And the fourth, you can call sign out method, where you can log out your user with the help of this method. So I'll share my entire screen. I'll show you the demo part, and then we'll go for the each one by one step. Okay. Can we have a slide on the screen? Yeah. Okay. So this is yeah. So this is sample application. So share your thoughts. So this is an anonymous application. So this is a URL. So what I'll do, I'll share this URL with my friend, and this will like add some anonymous thoughts. So like this is demo test message, and then click on the share button and data saved. And there is a section for login to admin dashboard. So I'll go to the admin dashboard, and there is a button login with your Google account. I already logged it. I'll just log out and just reload this button. So when I click on the login with Google, so I'll click on Google account. So there is a pop-up method that I'm using. So this is a pop-up method, and then yeah, so I already logged in with my Google account. I can see the message. So I have passed this message, demo test message, on this particular time, and this is a date. I can delete this message, and this is details for the applications. Okay, so how we can create this type of application? So first, as I told you, first we need to go for the Google, and then you can search Node.js. Yeah, so this is a Node.js website, and here we have a section you can download Node.js LTS version, so you can download. And we will use VS Code editor for the entire this workshop. So this is a VS Code editor I have already downloaded. And then we have in the VS Code editor, we have a section for the terminal. If you go to the menu bar, and then we have a terminal as a sections. So if I click on the terminal, and then you need to install Firebase CLI. So how we can install the Firebase CLI? Just need to install. You need to type npm install -g Firebase -tools. Okay, so with the help of this command, you can install Firebase CLI. After installing the Firebase CLI, you just need to type Firebase, and here you will get the details about the Firebase CLI. So I'll just wait for a minute, and yeah, you can do that. So yeah, so this is showing like I have already installed my Firebase CLI. So what I'll do, I need to initialize the Firebase project. So before initializing the Firebase project, so I can clear this one with the help of clear as a command. And then I'll go to the browser. And then first you need to open a website for the Firebase. You just need to type firebase.google.com. Okay, so this is a website, firebase.google.com. There is a UI, and then we have on the right top, we have a button for go to the console. So I'll click on the console part, go to the console, and here is a Firebase console. What I'll do, I will create a new project. So I'll click on add project button. Okay, so here you can pass the project name. So right now I'll just add project name is demo share app. Okay, so you can do that, or you can change the project ID. It's totally up to you. And once you assign the project ID, you cannot change the project ID, but you can change the project name in the Firebase. So this is my project name, and this is my project ID. And then I click on the continue button. So I'll click on continue button, and then we have a section for the Google Analytics. So right now we are not working with the Google Analytics part, so I'll just disable this part, and then I'll click on the create project. So yeah, yeah, so my project is ready. I'll just move to the project dashboard. So this is my project dashboard. So as you can see, there is a section build better applications. You can improve your app quality, and then you can grow and engage your user. So we have a section for each services. So this is a project dashboard, and here you can check the setting. If you go to the setting part, and these all are the setting. If you go to the project overview, so this is a project overview. Okay, so my project is ready. What I'll do, I'll go to the VS Code editor, And then first we need to initialize our Firebase CLI with the help of with my Google account. So I'll type Firebase login. So first, this command will like authenticate your Firebase CLI with your Google account. So I'll just type Firebase login and then press enter. Okay, so like this will say you need to allow. So yes, I'm allowing this one, and then when I click on the enter button, and then it will redirect to this particular URL. So now you need to authenticate this Firebase CLI with your Google account. So after that, you will be able to access the project with the help of Firebase CLI. So there's a allow section. You just need to allow, and yeah, Firebase CLI is logged in successful, and you can close this one. And here you have find it informations like you have logged it with your Google account. Okay, so I'll just clear this one. Okay, now you can type once again like Firebase login if you are check the authenticated user details. So we have already logged in with your my Gmail ID. So let's say my Gmail ID is techferment@gmail.com. Now what I'll do, I will initialize the Firebase project. So I'll type Firebase init. Okay. So my Firebase initialize is ready. So it's saying, are you ready to proceed? Yes, I'm ready to proceed. So I'll just type Y and then press enter. And then these all are the services I can use. So there are a database like Cloud Firestore, functions, hosting. So right now we are working with the hosting part. So we will host our applications. I'll just select the hosting with the help of spacebar and then click on press on the enter button. And then we have a sections like you can use existing project or you can create a new project. So I have already created a new project. The project name is demo share app. So I'll select share existing application, and then we'll go to the demo part. Mm, I'll just okay, control C, and once again I will type 5 is in it, maybe some internet issue I'm facing. Yeah, so I'll click on the yes button and then press enter, go to the hosting part and then use, and not yes, we can go for the like new project. So here we can create a new project. So let's say I'm creating a new project. Here is Firebase Fire Share App 02. Okay. And would you like to call your project as a project ID? Yes. And yeah, so here you can also create a project. So I have created another project with the help of Firebase CLI. You can do that. So maybe I'm facing some technical issues. So I have already created like one more applications. So my project name is Fireshare-App2. So my project is ready, and then it will ask for the directory. So where you can upload, it's a directory where you can upload your HTML code, CSS code, or JavaScript code for the hosting parts. So I'll just type public where we can work on the development part. So this is a public directory, and we are not working on the single page applications. I'll just type and then press enter. And then I'm not working with the CI/CD part, so I'll type and then press enter. So yeah, so my Firebase CLI is ready. So I'll just uh, sorry, I just what I have missed issues. So first, what I have to do, you have to create a folder. So I have created a folder in the desktop. I will drop down or drag and drop this folder in the VS Code editor. Yeah. So inside this folder, you need to initialize the Firebase project. So I'll just open this folder and then click on the new terminal, and then we'll type Firebase init once again. The same step we have to follow. Okay, so are you ready to proceed? Yes, I'm ready to proceed. And then we'll go for the hosting part, and then click on the enter, and then you need to define a directory name. So have directory name is public, and then I'm not working on the real like single page applications. I'll type no, and similarly for the CI/CD no, and you will no. So okay, so my Firebase CLI is just ready. I cannot see the file. I'm facing Firebase app. Okay, I'll just wait for. I'll create a new folder. Maybe I'm facing some technical issues. So I'll close my VS Code editor. Here I will create a new folder, Firebase here, and here I'll open VS Code editor. So I'll drag and drop my VS Code editor, and I will open this folder. Close. I'll open new window, and here I will open this folder. Okay, so I'll go to the terminal, and here we'll type the same thing like Firebase init. So I'll just type press Y for continue, and then we'll select the hosting part and then press enter, and it's showing public directories or active directory. Okay, so we'll type public, and then we'll and for the single page application, no for the GitHub CI/CD, and yes, no. See, okay, I'm not finding any file. I think we are facing some issue. So it's okay. So here you can create a public directory in the directory in the folder. Inside this public directory, what you can do here, you can create an index.html file. Okay, so you can do that. You can write your HTML logic with the help of HTML language. So this is a simple markup language, HTML. So here we will create a index.html page, or we can say share app. Okay, so this is a basic HTML page. We can run this page. We'll go to the public directory, and then click on the here you can check this applications. So in the body section, so here what we can do here, we can create a h1 like share your thoughts. So I'll just type and then reload this page. So it's working. Share your thoughts. Now I'll go for the Bootstrap. Bootstrap is mobile responsive UI library. We can use it for the framework. So I'll just click on the Get Bootstrap button, UI, and then we'll go to the button homepage, and then we will copy the CSS path for the Bootstrap. So I'll just paste it here. Yes, here. And in the Bootstrap, we can create a simple UI. So we have a grid system we can follow. So what we can do here, we can create a grid system. So how we can create a grid system? First, we need to define a layout. So you can create a layout with the help of container or container float. So right now I'm working on the container layout. So I'll just click on the container. Then we have a row. So how we can create a row? So we can create a row with the help of class as a row. And then you need to define a column. So you can define a column like col md12. So you can do that. So here we will write class and then we will write col md12 and that's it. So in this particular grid system here, I'll add h1. Okay. Now, now I'll go to the console and I will reload this page. So we have a project. So I'll go with the demo share app. So we have created this project. Okay, so I'll go to the Bootstrap and then we'll go to the documentations. So we have a doc section and then we have a components, or you can go for the forms, and then we have a form control as a section. So we have a example. We want to use this one part. So I'll just copy this particular code block and I will paste it here. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just remove the unnecessary things like we have a ID. So I'll just use a message, and here we can remove this div element. We can also remove the closing part of this particular div element. Okay, and then here we can define a label. So label is, maybe you can mention the message, and yes, you just save and the reload the applications, so it's working. Okay, so if you want to add that things in the center, so you can go for the pre-built class in the Bootstrap. You can use text hyphen center. I'll save and then reload this page. You are in the center. Okay, so now we need to add a functionality for the button. So I'll just again we'll go to the Bootstrap, and then we have a component section, and then we have a button. So I'll click on the button part, and then we have a lots of buttons. So I'll just go for the first button is primary button. I'll just copy and I will paste it here. I'll save and then we'll reload this page. So we have a button. Okay, so now we will add a button name. So we can add a button name is here. Okay, so we do that. So you can define some space with the help of br text. So there is a space. Okay, so now we need to connect this HTML page with our this particular Firebase project. So what I'll do, I'll go to the setting, or here in the project dashboard. So there is a UI like get started by adding Firebase to your app. So right now we are working with the web platform. So I'll click on the web platform, and then you need to define the application name. So it's totally up to you. So I'll just type fire share app. Okay, so I'll click on the registered application. Yeah. So this is a sample code. You just not need to work on this sample code. I'll click on the next button, and then click on the next button again, and then go to the console. Okay. So my web application is added in the Firebase project. I'll go to the project setting, and then if you scroll down, then we have a fire share app, and then we have a radio button, Firebase core SDK snippets. So right now we are working with the CDN, so I'll just import this library. So this is a core library for the Firebase. I'll just import this library before closing the body tag. So we have a before closing the body tag is a Firebase library. And then what I'll do, I will create a JavaScript file here, folder, and inside this folder, I will create another JavaScript file name is app.js file. So inside app.js file, I'll just copy this path and I will paste it here. Okay, and I will link this app.javascript file with the help of src script tag, and then we have a js folder. Inside we have a app.js file. Okay, so my Firebase project is connected with this index.html page, and this is a configuration file for the Firebase, and this is a Firebase core JavaScript library, and this is a configuration file. Okay, and this is a UI. So now what I need to do when I need to perform actions. So once the user will add a message and then click on the share button, you need to add that data into Cloud Firestore. So how we can do that? So first you need to perform some actions on the button. So here we can define an ID. So let's say my defining an ID is add data. Okay. So this is ID is add data, or we can define id as like a share button. Okay, so again I'll go to the js folder. I'll create another javascript file. My javascript file is index.js file. This javascript file is for the index.js file. So here we can write a logic. When I click on this particular button, I need to get the data from this particular text field. So I need to perform my action, so I'll just need to write a logic. So we'll write first document. I'm accessing a document. I need to collect the document whose ID, element ID is share button. And then we need to perform an action. So we have add event listener. So with the help of this event as a method, and here need to pass two things. First one is what are the name of the actions, and then what method you need to invoke. So my like I will click on this button. So we have add events listener, and when I click on this particular button, I need to perform or I need to call a function. So let's say my function's name is add data. Okay.
Uh,
So yeah.
so Vrijraj, yes, sir, we got a comment from the participant that can you go a little bit slower?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so as of now, what I have did, like I have created an index.html file. So basic is basic HTML code snippets, and then we have added a Bootstrap library. How we can design. So we have added the Bootstrap library, the link. So we have a CSS library, and then we have designed the UI. So how we can design the UI? I'll just created a container. So in the Bootstrap, we have a grid system. I'll just created a container. Inside container, we have a row and then we have a column. So I have created a column, and then we have a class is text center. Okay. So this is a text center, and then this is a text area. So we have just copied the code for the text area from the Bootstrap. I'll just go to the form element, form control, and then this is a code. Okay, and then we have a button. So this is a button. Okay, so now the second step is you need to connect your Firebase project with the particular HTML block. So if you go to this project overview, so right now if you click on the web application part, if you there is a button, click on the web, and then here you need to create a sample name. So you can provide a nickname, it's totally up to you. So I'll already created a application name, and then we'll go to the project setting, and then you need to scroll down, and then you will be able to see the application name you have registered, and then you need to import Firebase SDK code snippets. So this is a Firebase SDK code snippets. So I'll go to the CDN part. So I'll just click the CDN part, and then we have a library for the Firebase. So we have a library for this particular Firebase. I'll just copy this library, and then I have paste this library here. Okay, this one is for the core Firebase library. And then we have a code snippet for the Firebase configuration file for this particular project. So what I have did, I'll create a JavaScript folder. So we have a JavaScript folder. Inside we can add a JavaScript file. So we have a two file. First file is for the app.js, which is a main configuration file. So here I have added a JavaScript core library for the Firebase, the configuration file. And then we have another JavaScript file, which is this JavaScript file will be for this particular index.html. So that's why we have written index.js file. Okay, and then what I need to do, I have a UI. So this is a UI. We have a text area, and we have a like this button. So I need to perform actions like when the user will add a data in the text area, and then click on the share button, we need to perform actions. So what we are doing. So similarly, So we have defined an ID for this particular button, and we have defined an ID for this particular text area. So we have a JavaScript file for the index.html. Now we need to perform actions, like when the user will click on this particular button. So we need to perform actions. So that's why we have written, like, first we have written document, and then we have written like get element by ID, means I'm accessing those document whose ID is share button. So this is a DOM element, and then we need to perform an action. So how we can perform actions? So you can do that with add event listener. Okay, and then here you need to pass two things, like what are the type of the events. So I'm click on this particular this button. So this is that's why I have written click. And when I click on this particular button, so what I need to call, I need to call the add data as a method or JavaScript functions. Okay, so how we can add a data into Firebase? So how we can create a functions in JavaScript? So we have to write function as a keyword, and then we have to write function name. So we have a function name is add data. Okay, so here we can write console.log. You can do that for checking console.log, and here is something something, and then just save and then reload this page. And you can go to the inspect element. So just go to control shift I, or you have to press mouse second button, and then we have a section for the inspect element. And then we have a console section. Here you have to write a message, let's say hello, and then click on the share button. uh, I'll save, I'll reload. Yeah, it's not working. Share app.js. Yeah, so we need to link this index.h JavaScript file in the here index.html. So we'll write script tag and src script, and then src, and you need to link this index file. So we'll write JavaScript inside JavaScript as a folder, and then we have linked this index.js file. Okay, so I'll just save and then reload this page. So here we'll type a message hello, and then click on the share button. So you'll be able to see the actions. Okay, now you need to get this data. How we can collect this data? So you need to write a logic. So first you have to write document, and that get element by ID. So I need to collect the ID. So this is ID for this particular text area. So I'll just copy this ID, and I will pass this ID here. Okay, so I'll write document.get element by ID and from dot values. Okay, so this will give you the value. So here we can store the message. So let message or my message is equal to this one. Okay, here we can print the message like console.log, and then here we can write my message. I'll save. I'll just comment this logic, and I will save and just reload this page. Here we can write hello world, and then click on the share button, so you'll be able to see the world. Okay, so now we have performed a simple skeleton action, like for the JavaScript. Now what I need to do, I need to store this variable into the Cloud Firestore here in the Cloud Firestore sections. So we have a project dashboard. So I'll go to the Cloud Firestore section, and then we have a section for create a database. I'll click on the create database button, and then we have two things, like either we can go for the production mode, or either you can go for the test mode. So right now we are working with the test applications. So I'll just click on the test mode, and then click on the next button, and then you can define a location. So what will be the location for the database? Here we have a reason. So it's totally up to you, whatever the reason you want to use. So it's you can use the reason and then click on the enable button. Okay. Okay, so now I'll share the cheat sheet of yeah, so this one. So I have created a repository where we have like sample code where you can use, like for example, if you want to work on the Cloud Firestore, how we can work on it, Cloud Firestore. So we have a MD file, and what is a Cloud Firestore and how we can use Cloud Firestore. So we have a method how we can use, like first we need to define a Firebase. So that's why we are using Firebase, and then inside Firebase we are using Cloud Firestore, and then we have a collections. So that's why I've written a collections, on which collections you want to add a data. So let's say my collections name is user, and then I need to user add a document, so we have to perform add function as a method, and that's it. So I'll share this URL with you all. And share this URL. Okay, I'll just go to the like Cloud Firestore. My Cloud Firestore is ready. So this is a simple UI for the Cloud Firestore. Here we have a collection. So here we can create a collections. Let's say my collections name is user. Inside collections, you can create a multiple documents. So let's say my document name is user one, and you can define a fields. So as I told you, can add a multiple data. So let's say my name, username, user one name. Okay. So you can also define an email ID. So you can define user one at the rate gmail.com, and you can do that. So we have a collections. So we have a collections name is user. Inside we have a document, first document as a user one, and we have a data for this particular user. So similarly, you can create another document. So we can create another document as user two, and here you can define a name. So here we can as a user two name, and you can add a multiple fields. So you can define a field is email, and here you can type user2 at the rate gmail.com. Okay, so we have a data. So we have a two data, like user one and user two, inside this particular collections. So you from the UI you can do that. You can add a field. Here you just need to click on the add field button. If I want to edit the update the data, so you just need to click on this particular field, and this is a UI. Here you can define a value. Okay, and you can also delete this particular document. So you just need to click on like here you can create a like here you can create a collections, or here you can create a delete the particular document. Okay, so this is a simple UI for the database. And then we have a section for the rules. Here you can define a security rules, which I tell you later. And then we have indexes. Similarly, we will work on later in the end part. And then we have a uses, like total number of read operation, write operation, delete operations you will check here. Okay, so we have a data. So what I'll do, I want to work with the Cloud Firestore with the help of web. So first we need to add a library for the Cloud Firestore. So what I'll do, I'll just click on the documents. I'll click on the this button, go to docs, and then we have a section for the build. Okay, or you can go for the fundamental, and then fundamental we have a button for add Firebase for web. So I'll click on add Firebase for web. Okay, so you just need to scroll down, or yeah, if you go to the UI, so in the right sidebar, we have a section for available libraries. So I'll click on the available libraries, and then we have a available library, available Firebase JavaScript library from the CDN. So I'm working on Cloud Firestore, so I'll just copy this URL, this SDK path, Firebase Cloud Firestore. I'll just copy this path, and then I will paste after Firebase Core SDK. Okay. Why we are doing? Because we want to work on Cloud Firestore, so we have to import the library for the Cloud Firestore. So this one is for the Cloud Firestore, and this one is for the core Java core Firebase. Okay, and this one is for the configuration file. Uh, Firebase config file, and this one is for the index.js file. Okay, so we have added a Firebase Cloud Firestore library in the index.js file, HTML file, and then here we can define, here we can work on the Firebase part. So first, what I need to do, we are working on a Firebase, so we have to write Firebase. Okay, inside Firebase, we are working on Cloud Firestore, so we have to write Firestore. Okay, and then we need to define a collection. So which collections you want to add a data. So let's say I want to add a data in like data as a collection. So just we need to write collections first. This is a collection is a predefined. Inside the collections you need to pass the collections name. So let's say I am here, the pass the collections name is data. There is a no collection with the name of data, it will automatically create. Okay, and then for adding a data into the cloud firestore you can use add method. Okay, so this add method you can use for adding a data. So here you need to pass the javascript object. So how we can pass the javascript object? So here we can create a variable data to add. Okay, so this is a JavaScript object, so we can create a JavaScript object with the help of curly braces, and then here we can pass the message is equal to my message. Okay, and then I'll just copy the path and I will paste this JavaScript object in the add method. Okay, so this is a simple command for adding a data into Cloud Firestore. So again, I will explain. So first we are using Firebase. Like the first step, like we have to implement like include the Cloud Firestore library into our project, and then we have a Firebase, so we are working on a Firebase, that's why we have written Firebase. And then inside Firebase we are working on Cloud Firestore, so that's why we have written Firestore. Inside Firestore, on which particular collections you want to work, so that's why we have written collections. And then we need to define a collections name. So let's say my collections name is data. So inside this particular collection in the Cloud Firestore, we need to add a data. So that's why we have written add as a method, and inside you need to pass the JavaScript object. Okay, so like there's a concept in the JavaScript, like we have a concept is JavaScript promises. Like if this particular block is successfully executed, so we have to handle with the then and catch block. Okay, so like is if this particular block successfully run or executed, then we can handle within the then block. If there is any issues, we can handle with the catch block. Okay, so like I can understand, like if this particular block is successfully executed, means the data will update added into the Cloud Firestore, so we can handle with the then block. And if there is any issue, so we can handle with the catch block. So if the data is added into the Cloud Firestore, we will get the callback, which is a like logic or features in the JavaScript. So here we can add functions, or here we can write a console.log, or here we can add a alert method, like here you can write data edit. Okay, and if there are any issues, so we can handle with the catch block. So here we can get the callback as an error, and here we can also print the console.log if there are any issues, so we can print the error. Okay, so there is a simple query we need to perform. Like I will explain again. We are working on a Firebase, so that's why we have written Firebase. Inside Firebase, we are working on Cloud Firestore, so that's why we have written Firestore. On Firestore, we which collections you want to work on, so that's why we written a collections. And inside collections, we have specifically working on the data collections, and then we need to add a data, so that's why we written add method, and then we have passed the JavaScript object. And if this particular JavaScript block successfully executed, then we need to handle with the then block, so that's why we have written a then block. And this will give you the callback is just like as a like this block is successfully executed, and this is the data as written. Okay, so this is a callback. Here we can print the logic like data successfully added, and if there is any issue, so we can handle with the catch block. I will save, I'll just reload this page, and what I'll do, I will add a message like, let's say, my test message, and I will click on the share button. Within a few seconds, you will get like alert box like data edit. When you go to the Cloud Firestore, so you just need to reload the page, or you can change the tab. So we have a data as a collections. Inside data collections, we have a random ID of the document, and then we have a field name is my test app message. Okay, so let's say here I will type my text message to, and then click on the button of share. So data edit. If you go to the real-time database, Cloud Firestore, we have a documents. So we have a documents too, and here we have a message. Okay. Similarly, we can do that. It's totally up to you. So I'll click on the three, and then we have another third document. Okay. This is very easy. Okay, so now what I'll do, this is a simple web page for the user. Like we will share this particular URL to the user. You can give the anonymous feedback through this particular UI or user's URL. So what I'll do, I will create another file. I'll create another file. Let's say my file name is not here. I will create in the public folder. I will create another file. Let's say login .html, or first we will create a dashboard files. It will be easy for us. Okay, so this will be the dashboard.html file, means there will be a admin panel. So we need to create an admin panel. How we can create an admin panel? So this is a HTML code, and here we can write like simple HTML code snippets. And this is a simple code snippets. Here we can change the title. Let's say this title is dashboard, and here we have to follow the same thing, like we have imported. I'll just zoom. Yeah. Okay, so here we have, yeah, so here we have core JavaScript like library for the Firestore Firebase. So I'll just same implement the rest thing, and in the dashboard we have to work on Cloud Firestore. So same, we will copy this file and we will paste it here. Okay, and then we have to use the Firebase configuration file in this particular index.html. So I'll just copy and paste it here. Okay, so we have a modular approach. Like first we have an index.html, which is for the users, and user for we have a set UI, and then we have a Firebase code library, then Cloud Firestore library, and the configuration file, and the index.js file for the JavaScript logic for this particular index.html. Okay, so now what I'll do, I'll create another JavaScript file. So here we will create another JavaScript file. Let's say my file name is dashboard.js. So I am writing the JavaScript logic of dashboard.html in dashboard.js file. Okay, so I'm following a modular approach. Each page have their specific JavaScript file. Okay, so I will link this JavaScript file. So I'll just use script tag, and then we'll use src, and then we'll use JavaScript, and then we have a dashboard.js file. Okay, I'll just open dashboard.html code. So I'll go just go, we have a UI. So I'll just open this dashboard.html, and this is a dashboard.html. Okay, so now what I need to do, I'll just add a UI. Let's say here we can write a dashboard, and I'll save and just reload, and it is visible. Okay, so similarly we will go for the bootstrap. So I'll just copy the bootstrap css library. So I'll just copy the css library for the bootstrap, and I will close the index.html, and I will paste it here. Okay, simple. Okay, so we have created a skeleton for the dashboard.html. Then again we need to create a container. So we can create a container in the bootstrap. We have a container as a class. Okay, then we need to create a div row, so we can use a row as a class in the bootstrap. So then we have div, and then we can create a column. So we can create a column with the help of this particular class in the Bootstrap. So we have a great system in the Bootstrap, you can use it. Okay, so this is a simple UI. I'll just copy, I'll cut this logic and I will paste it here, and then we are following the grid system. Now, what I need to do, I need to read the data. Like this is a admin page, and here user will add the data, and this you can see the data here, all the users data. So this is a JavaScript file for this particular dashboard. So here we will create a function. Function's name is show data. Okay. So this is my function's name is show data. Here we can write a logic, or here I can add a comment get all data from collections name is data. Okay, now we need to read the data from the cloud Firestore. So we are working on a Firebase, so that's why we have to write Firebase. Okay, simple thing. And then inside Firebase we are working on Firestore, so that's why we have to write a Firestore. On which particular collections you want to read data, so we need to define a collection. So I need to read the data from data as a collections. So this is the same for adding a data, for reading a data. So this is the same logic. Like first we need to define a Firebase. Inside Firebase we are working on Firestore, and then on which particular collections you are working. So this is the collections name. Okay, then for reading a data or read the data from cloud Firestore, so you have to use get method. Okay, so this get method you need to call if this particular section is successfully executed, then we will handle with the then block, and if there is any issues we can handle with the catch block. Okay, so this is a then block. Like other, for example, this block will successfully executed, and this will give you the list of docs. Okay, so it will give you the list of docs. Okay, so this section is successfully executed, run, and this will give you the list of docs. Here we can perform the JavaScript operation. Okay, so we have a list of docs. So here we can apply for each operation. Okay, so here we will get the documents one by one. So here we can print the data like console.log, and here we can print the docs. Okay, so when I'm running this query, it will give you the list of documents. So we have a list of document as a variable name is docs. Okay, so I'm performing for each operation for getting the one by one, the docs one by one. Okay, so that's why we have written docs dot for each, and it will give you the docs one by one. Okay, so this is a document. So I need to get the data. So from I need to get the data. So we have to write doc dot data. This is a method. Okay, so here you can get the data. So I'll just, if there are any issues, so we can handle with then and catch block. So we have a catch block, and then here we can write console dot log, and here we can write error. Okay, so I'll save, and this is I have created this function for get the data from the cloud Firestore. So I'll just call this method. So how we can call this function or method? So here you just need to call this method in JavaScript with the help of directly. Okay, so I'll explain this query again for reading a data. So I'm working on Firebase, so that's why we have written Firebase, and then we are working on the cloud Firestore. That's why we have written cloud Firestore, and then we are working on the particular collection. So my collection's name is data, and then we are performing the get operations for reading a data from the cloud Firestore on this particular collections, and this will give you the list of docs. So this list of docs will be considered as a docs, and then I'm performing for each operations, and this will give you the one by one docs. So I'll just save, and just I'll reload this page. And when I go to the inspect element, how you can go to the inspect element, you need to click on the mouse second button, and then we have a inspect as a section, and then we have a console, and then we have a three objects. Okay, so these are the three objects, and we have a data. Okay, so we have a data, my test message, my test message 2, my test message 3. Okay, so we have a data, and now we need to print that data in here in this particular UI. So how we can do that? So what I'll do, I will create a table. So this is a dashboard. Here we will create a table because we want to print this data enter in the tabular format. So this is a table. Inside table we have a two things like table head. So we have a table head, and then we have a table body. So that's why we have written table body. In the table head we have one row, so we can create a row with the help of tr tab. And then inside we have a let's say I will add a two column. So first column is for the message, so here we will write message. Okay, so I'll add another column. We can add a column for the actions. Here we can write actions. We will do that later. Okay. Okay, so now this is a simple logic for creating a table. I hope you are familiar with the HTML table concept. And then we need to print the data in this t body as a section. So this here we will create a row. So we will create a row, and then we have a doc column, and we will do that. And these rows will be dynamic, right? It will depend on the number of documents, right? So right now we have a three documents, so we need to work then there will be a three rows. So how we can create a dynamic UI? So how we can create? So you need to perform a id. So here you can define an id. So let's say my id as a result. Okay, so I'll just copy this ID as a result, and then we have a data. So how we can print the data? So you have to write document. So because I'm working on HTML, so and then we need to write document dot get element by ID. So I'm accessing the document whose ID is res. So here I will write res. Okay, and then we have to use a method in an HTML. Means inside particular like HTML tag, I want to add some HTML elements. So that's why we have written this one. Okay, so here we can write a multi-line string. So you can write a multi-line string if you can go to the uh, like on screen like keyboard, and then we have a this symbol tilde symbol. Just you can check below this escape keyword. So here you can create a multi-line string. So what you have to do, you have to create a row. So we will create a row, and these rows will be the dynamic. Okay, and then we have a two column. So how we can create a column? So we can create a column with the help of this one tag, and here we can also create another column, and here we have column two. Okay, so now what I need to do, I want to print the data. So like we have a doc.data. So when I running this command, and then we have a object, and we not want to print the specific message. I'll just comment this one part, and I will give you. This is a JavaScript object. Inside this JavaScript object, we have a key as a message. So I want to print as a message. So I will write doc.data.message and just reload this page, and within a few seconds you will get the message. Okay, so what I need to like add this like data in this particular part. So here we can print the variable in the multi-line string. You just need to use dollar symbol curly braces, and then you have to copy this path like variable name, and you can print it here. I'll just reload this mess, save this JavaScript file, and just reload this page, and within a few seconds you will get the error. I think let's just about the data. I'll just comment document.get element by id dot inner html plus. Okay, I will print this error here. We can print the error. Okay, so what I'll do, I will write this logic. So here we can create a variable let's say my variable name is data, and then this will be the blank array, and then we have a data. So I'll just cut this logic, I will paste it here, and what I'll do, I have a data, and then we'll use data dot push, and I will push this data into this particular array, and we have array who's having a list of messages. Okay, so here we can print this particular like data as a array. So here you just write console.log, and then we can print the data. I'll just reload this page, and we have an array and having a three string. So what I need to do, we can perform here a for method for loop, and we need to define where, or you can use let I is equal to 0, I less than data dot length, we can do that, and then here we need to write I plus plus, and then here you can uh, do here, I will cut, I will paste it here, and will comment uncomment this one. So every time what I'll do, I will like will create an element, and then inner element, and then I'm doing this logic, and this will give you the data of I, and here we have a message, and that's it. So I'll just reload this message. Just reload this page. Result I will add it. I'll save and dashboard. And here we will check the bodies and result and document.element maybe .env Let's we have a data result. The symbol save and just go for, yeah. So I'm getting a message here. So we have a table, and we have a column. So we have a this table having a table heading is a message, and then second column is action, and we have a data. So here what we can do, here we can provide a border for understanding purpose. So border is a 1. Here you can also provide border is equal to 2 for, so we have a data. And even if I'm working on a bootstrap, so we have a predefined class, so you can use table, and so you have a data. Okay, I'll just save and just reload this page. Okay, it's working. Now there is a issues like right now we have a 3 documents, so there will be a 3 rows, but we are getting only 1 row. So why? Because this method will override your logic. So you have to write this symbol. This will concatenate the previous string with upcoming string. So with the help of this logic, and you will get the 3 result. So let's say here I'm writing hello world, and we'll click on the share button, data edit, and I will reload this page, and within a few seconds you will get the data. Okay, so hello world, is it working? Now we need to perform the some security part, like only authenticated user can see this particular dashboard. How we can perform the authentication part? So what you have to do, you have to go to the Firebase console, and then we have a authentication section. I'll click on the authentication section. So as I told you, in the authentication, so we have like you can use multiple third-party service provider, or you can use our own authentication module. So I'll click on the get started button, and then we have a method. So you can authenticate your user with the help of email, password, phone number authentication with the Google account, and there are a lot of services you can do that. So I'll just go for the Google account. So I'll click on the Google and then enable this button, and then you need to define an email ID for the support, and this is a simple UI, and just you need to click on the save button. Okay, so we'll wait for a minute. Yeah, so my authentication is ready. I can implement the logic for the authentications. So how we can implement the logic for the authentications? So first you need to import the library for the authentications. Similarly, we did for the Cloud Firestore. So I'll just go to the documentation, and then we have a available library section, and then we have a authentication section. So I'll just copy this path, auth path, and then we'll implement will pass this auth part. Here we will write auth library. Okay, so I will paste it here, so now I can able to access the authentication part. Okay, so how we can authenticate the user? So here in the dashboard, let's say here I'm creating a button. So I'll create a button, and in the bootstrap we have a class for the button is btn, and we have a class for btn primary, and here we can write sign in with Google. I'll save and will reload this UI. So there is a button sign in with Google. With Google, I'll save and this reload. Okay, so we need to perform actions like only authenticated user can see this particular entire data. So how we can perform actions? So first we need to implement a login functionality. How we can implement? So we need to add a functionality JavaScript logic. So first we will create our ID where we can write a login button. Okay, so this is a login button. I'll just copy this btn URL, and then we have a JavaScript file for the dashboard. Here we have a JavaScript file, and here we will define a logic. So first we will write a document dot get element by ID, and then I'm performing when I click on this particular button. So we have to write the same thing. We'll write click, like I will get access the doc, and then we need to perform an action. So we have write click, and then we'll write login user. Okay, this is a method name. So we have to define a JavaScript function. So here we can define like login with Google. Okay, so this is a method function. So we'll have define a functions, and then we have a logic. Okay, so here we can write a console.log, and here for the testing for and it's working or not. Okay, so now I can console remove the console.log, and I'll just reload this button. When I click on this button, sign in with Google, so it's working testing. Now we can remove this one part also, and we need to perform a functionality for the Firebase authentication for the Google. So I have already shared the the source code. So we have a section for Firebase Google Auth. So we have a docs, like it's docs say first you need to create a provider for the Google account. So this is a provider for Google accounts. I'll just copy this one, and I will paste it here. Okay, and then we have a two method. First method is sign in with pop-up, and second one is sign in with redirect. So I'm following sign in with pop-up method. So this is a sign in with pop-up method. I'll just copy the entire code. I will explain. So this is a method. So right now we are working on a Firebase. So that's why we have written Firebase. And then inside Firebase, we are working on authentication. So that's why we have written auth. Okay. So then we have a method sign in with pop-up. So there, when you click on the sign in with Google button, there will be a pop-up. and then here you need to pass a provider. So right now I'm using Google Auth provider, so that's why we have passed the provider. And if this particular JavaScript blocks is successfully executed, and then this will give you the callback, so we can handle the callback with the help of the end block. And if there is any issues, we can do that with the help of catch block. Okay, so this will give you the result, and here you can get the token, and here you can get the user details. So I will just here print console.log, and here we can add user. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just reload this page, and when I click on this button and login, and yes, login user. So now, right now I'm not working with the local host, so I need to install the virtual server, local server. So what I'll do, I'll just go to the apps, and then we have a Chrome web server. So I need a web server for running a local machine. So I'll just select the folder. So I'll go to the desktop, and then we have a folder name is Fireshare. Then we have a public directory, and then we'll select this one. Okay, so this is a server because we cannot run authenticate the user from the like this particular URL, because this URL is accessing from the local machine. So we need a server. So that's why we have working on the server part. So I'll click on this URL, and it's working. And we have another page. The page name is dashboard.html. Okay. So this is a dashboard.html. And when I click on the sign in with button, so here we can get the sign in. I'll get the When I click on this button, I'm facing okay. Here we can need to pass this URL authentications, and then we need to add a domain. Okay, so this is actually I have authenticated the path, like I'm allowing the user to authenticate from this particular URL. So I'll just go to the URL. I'll just click on the sign in with Google button again, and here, yeah. So there is a pop-up, and it will ask me for authentication with Google account. So when I give you the permissions authenticate with my Google account, and then if my I all authenticated my Google account, and here we have a user details. So if I just zoom out, so zoom in, so we have a details like display name is Vrijraj Singh, email ID is this one, email verified is equal to true. So we have a user details after authentications. So what I'll do, I'll just add functionality, so like only authenticated user can see this page. So how we can implement a functionality, so here we can create a div selection, and I will add this div element in this particular block. Okay, so here we can also create a div element, and this I will add this particular logic, and I will add here. Okay, so we have a two div element. First div element is for the data. So we can define a ID as a user data. And if we here, we can also define like login button UI data. Here we can write just for the understanding purpose. Okay, so in general case, like test case, like if the user is not logged out, if the user is not signed in, so we have to show the login screen. And if the user will already logged in, so we need to show this particular URL, this particular div section. So how we can do that? So first in the JavaScript part, we can write a logic. So here we will write a document dot get element by ID. So we have a ID. So I will this add so login screen. So it will be easy for you. login screen, user data screen. Okay, so we have a login screen. In general case, by default, I'm assuming like user is logged out. So we will add a CSS property. So here style dot display, and this is by default it will be visible. Okay, so by default user, when user will access this particular URL, user need to show, you have to show always sign in with Google button. So that's why we have right hand block. Okay, and similarly by default in general case you have to hide this screen. So we will click on this particular part and then click, you have to pass the value is none. Okay, so I'll just reload this page and style.display by setting. Style.display. Okay, it's visible. Please just set style.display is equal to none. So let's compile one login screen. I'll just copy and we'll paste it here. Okay, at a facing, but it's okay, it's working issue. So what I'll do, I'll just reload the page. Yeah, it's working. Okay, now this is a by default case in the general case scenario. So we have a functionality sign in with Google. So when I click on this button, if the user is successfully logged in, so we can show the UI. So how we can do that? So I'll just copy this path, and if the user is successfully logged in, so we have a user data. So here we can do that, user is logged in, so we have to hide this one, the login button. We have to show the user data screen. So I'll just reload this page. When I click on the sign in with Google button, and there will be a pop-up, and so I'm logged in with my Google account, and then I am able to see my this particular screen. Okay, so we can also perform the logout operations. So how we can perform a logout operations? So here in the user data screen, you can create, uh, you can print the user data. You can also print the user data like email ID and all. So here we can provide, like you can add ID. ID name is user data. Okay, so we have a user data as a ID, and we have a user details. So what we can do here, we can write document dot get element by ID. Here we can pass ID as a user data, and then we have an inner HTML section, and then here we can create a multi-line string. So you can use a similar logic. So now we can print the email ID. So logged in email ID. So I'll just use this one. Here we can write email is equal to, and this is a JavaScript object. So here we will write dollar symbol curly braces user dot display name. So we'll write the name. Okay, so I'll just save and just reload this message, and we'll try again authenticating our user. So user is logged in. Okay, so yeah, we need to perform two more things. Like first, if you go to the, like as I told you, first we need to check the state whether the user is logged in or not. So we have another functionality that you need to use on this one on auth state change method. So like as I told, share this particular resources. So we have a method firebase dot auth dot on state change method. So I'll just copy this logic and I will paste it here. So this logic will check whether the user is logged in or not. If the user is logged in, what I need to do, I'll just Right. I'll just cut this logic and I will paste this logic here. Okay. So this one is for the login functionality. This method is for the login functionality, and this method is for checking the state whether the user is logged in. So if the user is logged in, so we can print the data. So we can use this logic, and if the user is not logged in, we have to share the alternative screens like user is not logged in, so we have to show the login screen, and we have to hide this user data screen. Okay, so I'll just reload this page, and inner html. So I'll just as of now I'll just comment this logic, and I will save and then reload the page, and it will check, and I'm already logged in with my Google account. So no need to log in multiple times. If you are already logged in with your Google account, you can directly see the web page. Okay. Now we need to add a functionality for the button for the logout. So we will create a button, and similarly we will add a btn class for the bootstrap. Here we can write a primary. Here we can define an ID as a logout, or you can call the JavaScript method here directly on click. So here we can write logout. Okay, so here you have to write log out. Okay, so you need to define this JavaScript function. So you can define a JavaScript function here, functions logout, and then here we can write a logic. So for logout, we have functions for sign out user. I'll just copy this path and we'll paste it here. So similarly, we have a I, ideology. So we are using Firebase. Inside Firebase, we are working on authentication, and then for sign out, we have a functions method we need to call sign out, and that's it. If this block successfully called, so user is signed out, so we have to show this particular screen, and if there is any issue, so we can do that. Just we need to share the error, and that's it. So I'll just reload this page, and I'm already logged in with my Google account. I'll just reload this page. I will save, and I will save here, and yeah, so there is a logout button. When I click on this logout button, I logged out my Google account on click. So I'll just click on the logout button, and yes, you have to wait for a second. Here you can check console.log it's working or not. Console.log. Here you can define logs like calling, save, and then reload. It's this method is not working. Maybe you can use id as a, like, you can define id here, logout btn here, and then you just need to copy this id, and you can do that. Or here I will add this id outside the button just for the showing the idea exact function id. So I will add a logic here. Yes. So we have this particular docs. We have a login action. So we have a logout button. So I'll just click on the replacing with the logout button, and then we need to call the logout method. So we have a logout method. Okay. So I'll just reload this page, and then we have a logout button. So when I click on this button, user is logged out, and yes, we are logged out. You can hide this button. It's totally the JavaScript base. So when I click on the sign in with Google account, Yeah, so we have a data, and you can log out. Okay, so like we have a front end application, so here you can share this particular application. So let's say here I'm typing hello world 2. When I add the data, so data is added, and then here just reload this applications. So I'll just need to log in with my Google account to access the data. So yeah, so this particular logic is working. Okay, so this is a directory. We have a two file. So like this one is first is index.js html file. This one is for the user, like user can see this particular screen. So you need to share this particular url, and then you can use dashboard.html as a url to accessing as an admin person. Okay, and then we have a javascript library. So we have a three javascript file. So first one is app.js file, which is basically for the Firebase configuration code. And the second, we have created a javascript file for each page. Okay, so this is a modular approach for the best practices we are following. And now I'll show you, as of now anyone can log in with the Google account. So we need to provide the functionality for the security purpose. So if you go to the cloud Firestore, and if you go simply, if you can go to the authentication tab, here we have a details. So this user is using logged in with the Google account on this particular date and signed in with this particular uh, on date. Okay, and then we have a UID. So this UID is a unique UID. So you can define the logic, like only this particular user can read the data. Okay, so only Vrijraj 2396 can read the data. So you have a UID. So this particular UID can only read the data. So we can apply the Firebase security rules. I'll just go to the rules part, and this is the rules. So right now my rules is like allow, read, write, if, and this is a particular time, like anyone can read or write the data into the cloud Firestore this particular time slot or timestamp. So we will not doing this particular part. So I'll just write if dot user or auth. Yeah, so like we will write allow. So we need to add a logic, like this is the logic, like read only those user whose authentication as a id is equal to this particular uid. Okay, and similarly we can allow the write operations, like anyone can write. So I'll just write if true. Okay, so this is a simple logic, like anyone can write the data in my collections. No one can read the data except who can read the data, whose the uid is this particular uid. So this is a security part, and your application will be secure. Okay, so now you can host your web application with the cloud Firebase hosting. So I'm little bit facing some technical issues my system, because there will be a like some configuration file in the Firebase. So I don't know what's happening in my system, but these this is the code, and this is the index.js file. This is a not html code, and the dashboard code, and this is one for the javascript code. And you can deploy. I will share the resources for the Firebase hosting. So yeah, I'm open for the questions, and I will share the repository for this particular. This is a repository I have created. I will share this repo. So I'm open for the questions. I'll share my slide once again. You can share, add my slide. Hello. Can you add my slide on the screen? Yeah. So So for more information, like you can go to the Firebase documentation. These documentation are very easy. You just need to explore the docs, like which services you just need to explore. And then we have a code lab for the Firebase for web, where you can uh, like you can go for the code lab, and they will guide you step by step like how we can do that these services. And I have written an article for the Firebase, like how we can use these services step by step. I also have created a content for the Firebase. Like if you are interested, I will share the URL, YouTube/tech ferment. I'll just share URL in the private chat. And similarly, I will. This is a repository for the entire workshop that you can use. Yeah. So this is the details for the tech format, and yeah, I'm open for the questions. So yeah, thank you.
Um, Thank you so much, sir, for such a thought-provoking session. I'm sure the audience would have learned something new and understood the concepts related to Firebase and Firestore.
Yeah.
Now you guys have a chance to showcase your skills and make it to the top of the leaderboard and grab this opportunity to win some exciting goodies and badges. But for that, you guys have to complete a small task or project. For this project, with the help of Firebase, you can either implement with what Mr. Brijraj has taught, or else you can do some improvisation of your own in the web app as well. Other than this, you can also make a small new project of your own, but you need to make it to a point that you use Firebase in it, and you will be assigned points out of based on the uniqueness and efficiency of your project.
Yeah. So now after completing this project, you have to push it onto the GitHub repository, whose link you will upload in the Google Forms provided in Discord. Make sure to submit the forms before 11:59 p.m. Indian Standard Time today. And if you guys haven't joined the Discord server, please register fast and do join it. Also, the link for the quiz with all the instructions will be provided on the Discord server shortly. So don't forget to check that out.
So now we will be having a brief Q&A with Mr. Brijraj. So guys, if you have any questions related to the topic, feel free to comment your queries on the YouTube chat live box. And we have the first question from Samiksha Rai. What is the use of transactional data in Firebase?
Okay, so transactional data is just like as a, okay. For example, we have doc collections, and inside we have documents. Okay, so inside, let's say my document name is user one. So inside user one can have multiple collections. So this is just like as a flow. Like we have a collections, and then we have a document. Inside document, we can create a multiple sub collections. Inside sub collections can have a multiple document, so you can flow this particular transactions. We have a structure, so this is a, like we will follow the structure whenever we are designing a database for specifically NoSQL database, like we are working on MongoDB or any other NoSQL database.
Uh, the next question we have is, could you explain what range queries are?
Range queries is just like as a, there is a additional functionality that you can use in the cloud Firestore. So we have a additional range queries like limit, where close, like where we can get the data where whose document name is equal to this particular string. So you can do that. You just need to explore the docs of the cloud Firestore. Yeah.
Okay.
Like similarly, like if you're working on SQL, right? Yeah, SQL. So we have a where clause, having clause, or something.
Okay, the next question is from Srinivas. What are the basic clouds in cloud computing?
Mm.
Okay, basic clouds in cloud computing. Okay, so yeah, so cloud computing is just a simple way, like I have a system, and I have stored, or my system, I don't know which is the location for the system. I'm accessing that system from the I don't know from which location. And I have a system. I can do from the system. I can use that system to upload a file. I can use that system as a to host my website. I can use that system to for the machine learning purpose. I can use that system for the data science purpose. So cloud computing is a concept where you are accessing a system from the remote location, and you can perform n number of things from that particular system, and you don't know which will be the location for your system and what will be the location for the data. And this is a best example for the cloud computing.
Okay, sir. Uh,
So, what are the limits to real-time database in Firebase?
Okay, so like if you are creating a simple applications, like we have a, user data, and then we have a name and email ID. This type of application, there will be a no hierarchy. Then you can go for the real-time database. But if you are designing a complex application, then we have a, for example, if you are creating a multi-level architecture or multi-level collections and then sub collections, then we have a documents, these kind of complex application, then you can go for the Firestore. But I'll suggest you to go for the cloud Firestore. It's totally up to you. Like if you're creating a simple application, then you can go for the real-time database.
okay. The next question is from Nipun. How do we assign different values to users who have signed in the app using their email ID to differentiate roles? For example, teacher, student, etc.
Yeah, you can do that. Like you can just think in a way like, for example, a user logged in with your Google account. Okay, so user is logged in with your Google account, and you will get the UID or email ID. Okay, in the client side you can check whether this email ID is exists in the collections of teachers, in the collections of student, in the collections of maybe super admin. So if the value is exists in this particular collections, then you can write a logic, if else you can do that.
Right. Is there a limit to number of projects I can have at one time in
Yeah,
Firebase?
there is a limit. Yeah, I think there is a limit. I don't know. I have extra some more like number of codes, but I don't know what is the limit for the general users. But yeah, there is a limit. But you can create a multiple projects. I guess you can create more than 50 or 40. I don't know exactly.
Okay. Are there any more questions? You can post it in the chat box. Okay, we have a question from Anaga. What are the advantages of Firebase Analytics while using the product of Firebase?
Okay, like we have a two sections. Like first, you can go for the super Baba. For example, Google Analytics. Google Analytics is a super things, and we have a sort subset of Google Analytics. You can use Firebase Analytics. So if you are working on like mobile-based applications, you can get the analytics report for the mobile user. Then you can go for the Firebase Analytics, and they are still offering a lot of things like how many users are accessing this particular activities in the mobile applications, and type of user from the which country and the gender and many more things.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's all we had.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the end of the Q&A session, I think. Guys, hope you all got your all doubts cleared. So I think we have Okay, so I think we have come to an end to this wonderful session. We'd like to thank Mr. Vrijraj Singh for joining us today and enlightening the participants through this interesting workshop on Firebase. Thank you so much, Mr. Vrijraj, for taking some time out of your busy schedule and agreeing to be the part of Epsilon 2021.
We'd like to wish you all the luck for your upcoming endeavors and hope to see you again in the future. We'd also like to thank all the participants present here for being such an amazing audience. We hope to see you again tomorrow for day 3 of Epsilon 2021.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you everyone, and wish you all the best for the entire session. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And that, guys, brings us to the end of the session. Until next time, this is your host, Krishnaveni.
And I am Triveni, signing off.